guys, I'm excited to be talking with our guest today, Miss Tracy Beavers. She is a business and sales coach, and she's from the great state of Arkansas. So, Tracy, welcome to the show.
Thank you so much. I appreciate it.
You know, it's always interesting. I love getting people's perspective when it comes to business coaching and just even and personal planning of like what do they feel is important and what are the keys to success. We know that we've got into a new generation of entrepreneurs, and as as the economy changes, as business structures change, it's always great to be ahead of the curve. And let's dive into this if you don't mind, Tracy. I'd love to know your specialty in business and strategy coaching for your clients. Like, what is it that first of all, what is it that you love about this? And what is it that really stands out to you and the success for your clients?
Yeah. So what I really love about it is helping entrepreneurs win. You know, what lights me up is when I'm visiting with my client and I see them just physically like exhale because they know that we're going to get this built and it's going to be okay. And they've gone from feeling overwhelmed and cluttered to like, okay, I can do this. I can do this. And I'm like, yes, you can do this. You know, so that's what lights me up is hearing that they've had success, hearing that they've gained that client that they wanted, or they've grown their email list by 100, or they finally have the monthly recurring revenue that they want. Yeah. That just jazzes me up. I would do this for free if I could. I've always said, I wish I didn't have to work for money because then I would just go around and help everybody build their businesses. You know, that would be super fun.
Yeah, I will say, as much as I love that idea, which is true, because, a lot of the times as you ask people like, well, what would you do for free? Like, what is it that you would do? So it's awesome that you've got that, that you are living that right now. But I imagine like you've experienced, when people actually pay for the service of somebody else, they appreciate it so much more. They actually say, okay, this is actually costing me money. I need to make sure that I follow through with that. So I think absolutely. That you've experienced that. So thank you for sharing that. I would love to know, give us a little bit of history. Where did you, where did you come from in this aspect? And then how did you get into recognizing that you wanted to do this? And then also maybe like that you could do this?
Right. That's a great question. And it's actually a very interesting story. So one of the podcasts I was on recently, the host asked me if I was raised in a generation of entrepreneurs or if this was something new for my family. And it's not new. My father was an entrepreneur. He is an architect by trade and education, and he was self-employed. And I have to tell you that he made it look like a grind. Like he worked so hard and we hardly ever saw him. And I thought, oh no, I'm not going to do that. There's no way. I'm going to go get a job. Yeah. And I was raised in that generation where you graduate high school, you graduate college, you go get the W-2 job and you stay there for 40 years. And then even if you hate it, you stay there. Yeah. And then you get a pension and a retirement and a cake and a gold watch. Yeah. And that started the wheels of the bus on that started falling apart around 2005. Going through college, they would tell us not to job hop. You didn't want your resume looking like you had a bunch of stuff on it.
Yes, right. I remember that.
And so, but around 2005 is when corporations started using words like downsizing, restructuring, severance packages. And I was like, holy cow, nobody told me this was going to happen. And so I was downsized out of my first ever career that I had right out of college. And I'd probably still be working for that company if they hadn't let us go. But I literally remember thinking, I've got to call my mom and ask her why she didn't tell me this was going to happen. Yeah. And so, fast forward through still being in corporate, changing industries, a few toxic bosses, a few sets of coworkers that, those bands of coworkers that you're just like, I don't like spending 8 hours a day with you. And then the final straw for me was I was in business development for a company and I was asked to come in and get them market share. They had almost zero market share in our area. It was a title insurance company. I grew their market share 86% the first year I was there, literally put them on the map. And the CEO of that company had the nerve to tell me that he was going to change the compensation plans for the sales department. And that was the department that I was in. Wow. Because we were making too much money. He honestly didn't think by myself here in Little Rock, Arkansas, that I could be that successfw. And that was the final straw. I was
Mm,
like, I can't do this.
mm,
I'm a working mom. I've got 2 kids at home and a husband that I love. And you're working 12-hour days. I was making over 6 figures. It was great
mm,
money, but
mhm,
I was stressed out and unappreciated. And I thought, if this isn't it, Tracy, what do you want to do? And
mm.
through a really great women's mastermind, I was able to do a lot of internal work, and they were able to help me see that I'd always been a coach. I was always the person that people would come to. I always had people in my office asking me for help, either professionally or personally. And when I was in business development and sales for so long, people were saying to me, "How are you so successful in this?" Because I'm not aggressive, I'm not pushy. My sales approach is very authentic and warm and kind, but I'm not the person that's going to kill you with follow up. I am going to follow up, but anyway, so through all of that, I realized I wanted to work for myself, and that it didn't have to be like what I was shown by my father, that there were some people out there in the online space that were really doing well, and online courses really spoke to me. And I thought, if I really want to reach as many people as possible, I've
Mhm.
got to take this online. So that's how I ended up here.
That's awesome. I'm curious to know, before we get really into the heart of this, is, it's one thing to think about what you feel like your purpose is or what your calling is, right?
Mm.
Then of course, then you got to develop that. So how do you go from I've recognized that this is what I'm supposed to do, this is my calling. Other
Mhm.
people have recognized that into me, which is that affirmation, which is so important to have, right?
Yeah.
And then how do you go to the actual implementation of it, to say, okay, this is like, this is how this is what I got to do. Like,
Mhm.
for you, what was that strategy like going forward? Because I think most of the time, like, that first step is the hardest and the scariest.
Oh, yes. Oh, yes. And the scare never really goes away. I mean,
Uh-huh.
it's that entrepreneurial roller coaster of some days you're on top of the world and other days you're like, wow, is this thing really going to work for one more day?
Yeah.
But for me, it was a whole lot of prayer. And because I felt like all those years, God was throwing little pebbles at me, like, hello, trying to get your attention.
Hmm.
Hello. And then he'd have to throw a brick at me, which was a toxic boss, or, the CEO that wants to take my pay and cut it in half, and so I just kept, and I'm a little hard headed. And so I was like, okay, God, universe, angels, there's clearly something that's not right.
Yeah.
So lead me to what is right. And I will tell you, I didn't quit my job and start this.
Mm.
We're a dual income household, 2 kids we were saving for college. One of them's out of college now, the other one is in college.
Mhm.
And I didn't want to disrupt the plans that my husband and I had put into place for the kids as well as for our retirement. I didn't feel like that was fair to do that. And so I actually built 3 businesses alongside my full-time job so
Wow.
that I could leave and then focus on this. So I sort of took a step down approach to corporate. So
Yeah.
I couldn't replace my 6-figure income with the 3 businesses immediately. So what I
Yeah.
did was I built a couple of little side hustles and then the coaching practice.
Mhm.
And then I'm also a consultant through the University of Arkansas Small Business Center. So
Okay.
I had some streams of income coming in, which amounted to about half of what I was doing at corporate. So then
Okay.
I was able to get a corporate job that paid half that with
Mm.
half the stress, that
Yeah.
let me work from home, and a boss that finally understood and felt like it was okay for me to balance my job and building these businesses. She knew I was going to get my work done. She knew I was going to produce for her. She wasn't threatened by the fact that I was wanting to do this too,
Yeah.
which was a huge blessing. And I felt like that was a door that God opened for me right there, because there's not a lot of bosses out there that understand that. And then I was able to continue to build. And then that office went through a restructuring, and the office got closed. And
Wow.
I was sitting here and I was going, "Whew, okay, God, I don't know what's about to happen now, but we're gonna see.
Yeah.
We're gonna see how this goes." And so, thankfully, using that step down approach and socking away as much money as possible, it's been fine. I'm
Yeah.
good. But
That's
yeah, it wasn't for me, I wasn't going to be able to give 2 weeks notice and just walk out the door and tell everybody peace out and then start my coaching practice. I'm a little too practical for that. I really needed to have proof of concept before.
yeah. Well, I think that's so good, and I really appreciate you diving into that and getting way more granular, because once again, as people listen to like the success stories of people, they think it's like, okay, I got this mindset, I'm gonna make this commitment, and then it's like, then I'm gonna cut everything off and I'm gonna go and then I'm gonna have instant success. And of
Right.
course, that's not what happens. That's not the case. Very rarely are people overnight successes. They only look like that on the
Right.
backside of it, right?
Yeah.
So so thank you for sharing a little bit of that. Just out of curiosity, before we move
Yeah.
on, what year did you fully get integrated as a performance coach?
Oh boy. Oh gosh. The pandemic makes it all blurry.
Yes, right. I mean, and that seems like it was like
Um,
15 years ago. Pre 2020 was like
yeah. Okay. So
a
it was pre
decade.
2020. I know that. So 2019,
Okay.
maybe it
Okay.
was before the pandemic.
Yeah. Yeah. So I mean, it really was a century ago.
Yeah.
So
Right. Yeah.
well, one of the things I love what you do in your business and sales coaching is that you talk a lot about organic marketing strategies. So
Mhm.
would you first of all just dive into like what when you say organic, what do you mean by that?
What I mean by that is free,
Okay.
not no paid ads. So I
Okay.
teach entrepreneurs how to grow an audience, grow their email list, get visibility, all without paid ads. And that was born out of my own frustration with paid ads. I did 2 campaigns with paid ads last year. I think it was last year. I promise you time is a blur.
Right.
And I wasted thousands of dollars. I even hired an expert that came highly recommended from a coach that spends $20,000 a month on Facebook ads. So I thought, oh, this will be a slam dunk.
Mhm.
It was horrible. It did not convert.
Mm.
And at the end of that, I thought, okay, Tracy, you've built all these businesses all this time without any paid ads. Obviously, paid ads are not for you. What have you been doing that's been working? And let's go back to the drawing board. And I thought, okay, I can teach people how to do this without paid ads. And so that's how this new program that I have was born. Just I feel strongly that especially people that are just getting started, there are so many organic, free ways to get visibility, grow an audience, get some stuff out there, work on your marketing messaging before you go and either hire somebody or do it yourself
Mhm.
with advertising, whether it's paid ads on social media or a radio ad or a TV ad or whatever. If your business is what I've seen from my clients and all the hundreds of entrepreneurs that I've coached, even through the Small Business Center, is if you bring in paid advertising, that's basically just shining a big old spotlight on what you've already built.
Yeah.
And if you don't have something built with the foundational structure in place, the marketing message on point, you know who your ideal clients are, you've got your products and your offers and everything all nailed down, and you've got proof of concept,
Mhm.
then you can consider coming in and just shining that big old spotlight on it. And the other thing is that's cold traffic.
Yeah.
And cold traffic, you've got to warm them up. And so you got to have something to warm them up with. So if you don't have, all those pieces in place to sort of warm them up and welcome them into your world,
Yeah.
in my opinion, you're putting the cart before the horse.
Yeah, 100%. I couldn't agree with you more. I think what ends up happening is if exposure can be fantastic. It can be so life-giving. But exposure, all it does, especially if you don't have, just like you said, all of that sequencing down, not the right message, not the right follow through on follow up,
Mhm.
it'll just kill your project faster than you can blink. Right.
Yeah,
So
it,
I think that's
yeah.
really great. You talked a little bit about email lists
Mhm.
and I could not agree with you more. We can throw money at it. We can do all these other things, but at the end of the day, your email list is such a powerful tool, and it's so undervalued. I think so much out there because of social media and
Mhm.
all of these other things that are kind of glitzy and glamoury.
Right.
It sounds like email lists are very important to the success of your coaching, your group that you coach. Would you just
Mhm.
dive in a little bit about that too, and maybe you can share your reasoning for the importance of it?
Yeah, absolutely. So, for me, what I teach my clients is that the email list is the biggest asset you're going to have as a business owner, and it doesn't matter what kind of business you're in, online business, brick and mortar business, what it doesn't matter the industry, it doesn't none of that matters. Every business needs to be capturing the email and contact information for their clients so that if the social media world shut down, you still have a way to contact your people.
Yeah.
We rarely get cell phone numbers and mailing addresses anymore. If you've got those, great, send them a postcard.
Mhm.
But Most of us don't get that. We can barely get the email address, but once you get it, it not only keeps you attached to your client if you use your email list the right way, but
Right.
it also gives you this. I mean, it's like they're welcoming you into their home practically. You're landing in their email inbox.
Mhm.
That's almost like landing on their front door. They're opening up your email, they're practically opening their door to you. And so they're letting you into their world, and they're allowing the relationship to continue. It's a way for me to give educational content and knowledge and help my people that are on my email list with whatever they need. I'm routinely asking them, what do you need? What's going on in your business? Tell
Mhm.
me, because the content I deliver every week in my live weekly trainings, I want it to be super relevant to them. And if there's something going on, I want them to tell me so that I can share that. But that email list is, and a lot of people say that it's, the size of your email list, it's got to be this massive, 5,000, 10,000 email list. There are so many entrepreneurs that have smaller lists, but their lists are so tight, and
Yeah.
they are their ideal client. And those ideal clients love them so much that they will buy and respond. And so what you really need to be looking at is the open rate of your emails and the actual click-throughs and the actual responses to know if your email list is engaged, truly engaged. When you were talking about vanity metrics, one of the things that frustrates me is when people say, well, you're not successful on social media, on Instagram, because you don't have 10,000 followers. And I'm like, well, I have 4,000, and they're on my ideal client, and they're engaged with me in the
Mhm.
DMs, and it's converting into sales. And
Mhm.
so it's kind of the same thing with the email list. I would rather have, it's kind of like friends. I'd have rather have five really great, tight friends
Yeah.
than 500 friends that, may or may not care about me.
Yeah.
Does that make
Yeah.
sense?
No, 100%. I mean, I think Gary Vaynerchuk talked about this too. Is like, I'd rather have 100 raving fans
Yes.
than 1,000 acquaintances,
Yes.
right? And
Exactly.
just like you said, though, I mean, like the email list, I think one of the powerful tools of the email list is, one is, they can't never take that away.
Right.
You can't get canceled from your email list to a certain point, right? And it's a great avenue because people already trust you. Once again, they've
Yes.
given you the email. They, especially as you said, as long as you're making relevant information that that they need in their life,
Mhm.
when you bring value like that, then the sky is the limit in what you can do, whether it's providing them another product that would be great for them, whether
Mhm.
it's connecting them with somebody else that would be great for them. Like, once
Mhm.
again, there's so many trusted avenues through the email list. I couldn't agree with you more.
Mhm.
Now, you mentioned a little bit that you've got right now, you currently actually have an 8-week coaching program that you've got called Business Visibility Made Easy.
Mhm.
Uh, Give us an idea of what that looks like. You've got another one coming up in January. So anybody listening to this, you have to wait till January to sign up for the next 8-week course. But what can your people, your clients, expect from an 8-week class from you?
Oh, it's so fun. Well, of course, I made it, so I think it's fun, obviously. I guess you'd have to ask some of my
I
clients,
made
but
it and I'm leading it. Okay, good.
that's right. And I think it's awesome. So yes, the doors opened this Monday. All the new students started for this 8-week program, and it's 8 weeks because the online course that I built has 4 modules. And what I wanted to do was give them a module, give them 2 weeks to work on it, give them another module, 2 weeks. So that's why we're going for 8 weeks.
Mhm.
And in that 8 weeks, we do they're in a Facebook group where they can ask questions anytime. They can post something and get help from the group, kind of like a mastermind style community.
Uh-huh.
And the energy in there is just amazing. And then every week I go live to meet them where they are, answer their questions. We had our first live call today for this round. It
Mhm.
was so neat to see
Mhm.
these ladies come together, and they're in different spots in their journeys. One or two of them are a further along than the others. They've got an established business. They kind of know what they're doing. There's a couple that are even further along than that, and then there's a few that are just starting. They're trying to figure out their ideal client,
Mhm.
and so it's neat to see everybody work together. But the whole structure of it is the organic strategies that I teach, and the way the modules are laid out. These strategies layer on top of one another and interlock in a puzzle that results in the best possible outcome for your audience growth and your email list growth and your visibility. A lot of times, my clients will have strategies for social media, or they'll have strategies where they're like, yeah, Tracy, I'm posting on social media regularly, or I'm going live on Instagram or Facebook, or I'm emailing my list or whatever. But if you don't do them in the right order and you don't layer them the right way
Yeah.
with an intention for every single piece, that's where you're missing out and you've got holes in your structure. So we start with, at the very beginning, this is going to sound super basic, but you would be blown away by the amount of people that don't know how to do this. We start with maxing out your Facebook personal profile and your Facebook business page profile, so that when anybody lands there, they know exactly who you are, what you do, who you serve, all of your whole menu, all the things you've got. If you've got a LinkedIn, if you've got a Facebook group, if you've got a Pinterest, if you've got an Instagram. But there are so many times that I'm interacting with somebody in a Facebook group and I'm thinking, this person's really cool. This person really knows their stuff. I might want to hire this person. And I go to click on their personal profile, and I go to their profile, and there's a picture of like their dog, which is fine. But I look at their about section and it says no workplaces to show. And I look at their contact section, there's no website, there's no Instagram link, there's no Facebook business page. And I'm thinking, disconnect for my brain. I'm not going to hire you because the online space is full of scammers, and I've got to see that credibility right away. So we even max out things like your cover photo. A lot of people don't know that if someone clicks on your cover photo, there's a description box that opens up on the right. And so what I want people to do is, I want you to think about that cover photo as a billboard for your business. And it's literally shaped like a billboard. Think of it, and it's right over your head too on your personal profile. So use that for something in your business. Normally, when I'm not doing a launch, mine says, join my Facebook group. And it has a click here button on the graphic. And they'll click on the photo and a box will open up, and I'll tell them why my Facebook group is awesome, what's in it for them to join it, and the link to join it, the hyperlink's right there. And then I go on to give them some of my free content that leads them to my email list. And so when they go to my Facebook group, I have the membership questions set up that say, and in a very ethical way, I say, did you grab my social media content creation guide to create 90 days of content in 30 minutes? If not, shoot your email here and I'll send it to you. They don't have to give me their email, but most of the time they do, because they're like, oh, that sounds really cool. I want that. Or I ask them, do you want to be on the wait list for Business Visibility Made Easy when it reopens in January? And so that basic strategy of that personal profile, they see me in a Facebook group, or they see me somewhere, or they meet me out at a networking event locally, they're going to go search for me. So they find me, they see my cover photo, and they click on it. That leads them to my group. That leads them into my email list, leads them into my world, where in my group, I go live weekly and I give really great free content all the time. And I ask people to interact and have that community of support. If somebody posts and says, hey, I'm on WordPress and I can't get any of my plugins to work, there's a member in our group. We have 1,500 people. There's a member in our group that's a WordPress pro that's going to be so excited to ride in on the white horse and save that person. You know what I mean? And so it's just, that's the kind of linking together and strategy that I'm talking about. So they're landing here. Where do you want them to go next? And when they land on my group, where I want them to go next on that cover photo is to my free resources. In case they didn't land on my email list when they got there, I'm going to get them on my email list eventually. That's the plan.
I think it's great. I love it. So many different little comments. One is, it's so true when you are in a social setting and somebody's either introduces you to somebody or talks about somebody. I can't tell you how many people, myself included, is I'll just go to social media and I'll look up their profile. I'll look do I recognize them? Do I know them? Can I put a face with a name? And you value, in the sense, like if there's information on their sites, then you're like, okay, this is a legitimate person. Like, this is actually, there's quality behind the person. Right. And if there's nothing, you're kind of like, there's some disarray here. There's some disconnect. Like there's just something doesn't make sense of who this person is. Right. So I couldn't agree with you more on that.
And you don't want to give them your money.
No, that's exactly right. I mean, it's the lack of professionalism, and also just the lack of connectivity too, right? Like, I want to connect with you, and I want whatever you're doing, I want that to connect with my problem more than likely, to be able to say, gosh, I think this is the person that can solve it, and I'm willing to exchange your wisdom for my money, right? And so I think
Exactly.
there's some really great things about that. Well, Tracy, this has been so much fun. Where can people follow you? Where can they find more about you? Obviously, you've got some great content that's out there. It sounds like you got some free content that people can get from you as well too. Where can they go to get all of this stuff?
The best place to find me is to come to the Facebook group. It's called Be a Confident Entrepreneur, Get Visible and Grow Your Income. And they can come in and get great free training. They can network with other people. I let everybody promote themselves. And so far, I haven't had anybody abuse it or be spammy or weird about it, because most of the time I'm vetting these people before they come in.
Yeah.
Actually, I'm looking at their profile. I'm kind of getting an idea of who they are. Because if they're not like you and I, they're probably not going to be a good fit.
Yeah.
So it's really cool because it's not about me. It's not the Tracy Beavers world. It's a place for them to come and have a community, because being an entrepreneur is freaking hard and it feels really lonely.
Absolutely.
And I don't want anybody to feel that way. I want everybody to have a seat at the lunch table and everybody to get what they need. And so if there is somebody in there that's struggling with, hey, why is my Instagram not converting? Or, hey, I wrote this email and nobody's opening it. Is anybody in here an email pro or whatever? They're going to find the help they need. And that just lights me up. And then along the way, they're going to get warmed up to me and my personality and what I teach. And if what I teach is a good fit for them, they'll buy from me.
Yeah.
But if they don't, that's okay. They can hang out.
Well, I tell you what, great leaders and great business owners are great connectors. It sounds like you're a great connector. So hats off to you and where your heart's at and all of that.
Thank you.
All right. Well, Tracy, this has been an absolute pleasure. Before we leave, any parting words, anything that you'd love to say to this audience to just kind of inspire them to continue to keep pursuing this this career as an entrepreneur?
Yes, actually I do. And it's something that I think about when I'm having a day where I'm like, who's going to hire me? Why am I doing this? I can't coach my way out of a paper sack. You know what I mean? Your mind starts to play tricks on you. So what I want everybody to think about is the ripple effect of their work, because the ripple effect of your work can go so farther reaching than you can ever imagine, ever. And so back when I was in mortgage lending and doing marketing and all that in mortgage lending, that's a tough gig. That's a tough industry. But what I had to remind myself was, okay, think about that ripple effect from just somebody walking into the bank to put in a mortgage application, right? So they have a good interaction there. That potential buyer goes away happy. Maybe they're interacting with their spouse in a better way. Maybe they get home and they're so happy and excited that they are loving on the kids and they're having a great night with the kids, and the kids are happy, and the kids go to school and they are happy with their friends. So there's a ripple effect there. But not only that, they put in this application for this mortgage, then they go hire a real estate agent. How many people are they going to touch in that transaction? And how far is that ripple going to go out?
Yeah.
That money, that energy, that kindness, all of that. And so when we think, I'm not making a difference, I'm just here in Little Rock, Arkansas, and whatever, that's not the truth.
Yeah.
I don't know the far-reaching ripple effect of my work.
That's awesome.
And we need to think about that. Even something as easy as buying a pizza. You walk into the pizza restaurant, you have a great interaction, you go home happy, you've got an awesome pizza, you're having a great night with your family, you've spent money at that restaurant. How do we know that one of those employees, when they get their paycheck, they don't go home and they have an elderly neighbor who lives next door? And that money, that extra tip you put on the bill, allows them to stop at the store and get extra things for that elderly neighbor. We don't know this.
Yeah.
And so when we are sitting here thinking, what difference am I making? I'm going to challenge you to remember the ripple effect of what you're doing.
Love it. That is so good. Just like we've said before, and I think you made a comment earlier, is that it's just entrepreneurship is hard. And when we get caught up in those little moments of defeat, we forget about all the victories that are being had. And most of them we don't even see, and we won't until the end. And when we have an opportunity to reflect on it. So really great words right there. So Tracy, thanks so much. This has been an absolute pleasure. And we are so appreciative of what you, the light that you brought for us today.
Thanks. This has been a blast. Thanks for the opportunity.
Yeah. All right, you guys. Well, here we go. Another episode in the books. And our gal Tracy just has brought some great information for you today. And I know, listen, as entrepreneurs, we're running into hardships all the time. We feel like sometimes we're on an island all by ourselves. Tracy's got a great network. Go to her Facebook page, go sign up. You'll be around and surround yourself with other like-minded people that will help you get to the level of success that you desire to get to. And we all know, hey, listen, these episodes are absolutely free, but all you got to do, the price of admission, is to get this into the hands of somebody else that needs to hear this. Absolutely love you. Have a fantastic rest of your day, and we'll talk to you soon.